Hello, and welcome to the nonprofit world, where we highlight individuals and organizations who are passionate about helping others and in our communities and around the world. I'm Paula Sorrells-Bean, your host for today's program. And with me today, I have Dr. Nima Patel. And welcome to our program, Dr. Patel.
Thank you, Paula.
So glad that you're here with us today. And we're going to talk a little bit about Dr. Patel's life and what she has done. And I can, yes. Just anytime. We're starting over.
Or we're starting over.
Yeah, starting all over. Hello, and welcome to the nonprofit world, where we highlight individuals and organizations who are passionate about helping others in our community and around the world. I'm Paula Sorrells-Bean, your host for today's program. And with me today, I have Dr. Nima Patel. Welcome, Dr. Patel, to our program.
Thank you, Paula. Thank you very much.
So glad that you're here with us today. And we're going to talk a little bit about your what you've done here in the United States and what you're doing today. So
I am from West Coast of India.
Okay.
I went to medical school in India, New Delhi, India.
Great.
For 5 years. And then did my residency at Hartford Hospital, San Francis Hospital, and Yukon Health Center.
All three of them?
All three of them here in Connecticut.
Wonderful, wonderful.
I moved to Hartford, Connecticut in 1976.
Okay.
And I've been living here since then.
Been here ever since. That's wonderful.
And my practice was first at 869 Farmington Avenue in West Hartford for almost 30 years, and then I moved to 81 South Main Street for last 5 years, and then now I'm retired.
Great. Now you mentioned your practice, but you haven't told us yet what exactly, what field of medicine you practiced. So.
I was a pediatrician because I loved kids.
Yeah.
And I took care of children from birth to age 25.
Wonderful.
And they still remember me. I go to the grocery store and they still look at me and say, "Hi, Dr. Patel." I don't know their name, but they know me. Mm-hmm. And it's a wonderful feeling to take care of that many children. Yes. I must have taken care of 10,000 children so far.
That's amazing. That's wonderful. Do you have any special memories of when you were working with some of these children or families? Do you have any special memories?
Yeah. I took care of scoliosis, lordosis, spinal defect. I took care of encephalitis. You know, when they had the fluid in their brain, mm-hmm. I took care of that. I took care of lot of children with lot of difficulties, mm-hmm. with pneumonias and colds and sore throats and everything.
Wow, that's great. That's wonderful. I know they were very grateful to have you. And
I was grateful to have them.
Mm-hmm. Were there any other areas of medicine that you thought about practicing before you decided on pediatrics?
My specialty was asthma.
Asthma, okay.
I took care of a lot of kids with asthma. Mm-hmm. And I used to treat them so well because we used to use pulmoid machine to give them a breathing treatment. Mm-hmm. And I had 3 of them in my office, and I used to give them breathing treatment.
Okay.
And that was my specialty as a pediatrician. Asthma was my best specialty.
And how many years were you in practice?
42 years.
42 years. And all here in Connecticut?
Here in Connecticut, in West Hartford.
That's great. That's great. Now, during that time, Dr. Patel, did you ever wish that you had chosen a different area of medicine?
No, never.
You're always thankful that you were in pediatrics.
Always loved the kids. I was in the delivery room when the OBGYN people deliver the baby, mm-hmm. and I take the baby in my hand and take care of them.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It's a newborn baby.
So from newborns to 25 years old.
25 years,
okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and they still remember you.
They still remember me very much.
That's great. That is wonderful.
They can't believe I'm 72 years old.
I can't believe it either.
Well, I am though.
That's great. So you are currently living in an independent living
Independent
place.
retirement living.
Okay.
Yes.
And so tell me a little bit about that. What made you decide to choose the place that you chose?
Because I was living by myself in a condo, and my brother did not think it is safe for me to live alone. So he said, you need to move somewhere. And I went to 6 different places of retirement living. And I chose where I am now because it was independent living, and I'm very independent. And I wanted my own place, and I did not want anybody giving me any help. So that's why I chose that.
Okay.
But I did interview a lot of different places in Hartford and West Hartford area.
Okay. Now, do they have independent living, but then do they also have assisted living, like if you reached a point? No. So this place is strictly
It's
independent living.
Strictly independent
Okay.
living. Right across the street, they do have assisted living.
Okay.
But not where I am.
Okay. Great. So what kind of activities do they have at the independent living?
They have, every single day, they have exercise class for 1 hour at 10:30. And then we have like a geography class or a mix and match game in the afternoon. And then we have sometime a poker game, which I don't play. And they also have a walking group
Okay.
that I participate in.
Oh, that's nice. Are there some walking trails close by that you go on, or
Just
do you just
around the building.
around the
Just
facilities
building.
there? Okay.
Yeah, they have a nice path. So I go around the building.
Yeah. Now, do you prepare all your own meals?
No.
No.
We are given 3 meals a day.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Okay, so you have a central location where everybody gathers.
Yeah,
a dining room.
Dining room,
Okay.
yes.
Great.
And we go there, and we are never assigned a fixed table, but we all know where everybody sits. So we sit with certain people that we really like to sit with.
By choice, by your
By
choice.
choice, by choice.
Yeah, that's nice. So tell me, how is the food?
Food is pretty good. It's not bad because at lunchtime, at breakfast time, you have a choice of either a scrambled egg, boiled egg, and any kind of toast you want,
Okay.
and fruit, and some kind of juice.
So that's
you
a
want.
nice. That's a nice breakfast.
Yes. And then lunchtime we get salad, and they do prepare a lot of meat, which I do not eat. So I live on mostly vegetable and fruits. And that's okay because, it gives me enough nutrition.
So you're from India.
I'm from India and I'm vegetarian.
So probably the food that you get is not Indian
Not
food.
Indian food, no.
Yeah.
They never cook Indian food. They don't know how to.
You might have to go in there and teach them how to cook a
Well,
little
I have offered
Indian.
it, but they haven't listened to me yet so
Oh,
far.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
someday maybe we'll
Yeah.
do that.
Okay.
We do have cooking class there too.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, but mostly they make dessert, like pies and cakes and things like that. And I don't eat sweet things. I just mostly eat vegetable and fruits and juice and things like
Do you
that.
eat fish? Any kind of fish at all?
Yeah, fish I do eat. They do give us fish once a day at least.
Okay.
Like tilapia, flounder, things like that, we do get it. There's
you
no
have some
problem.
choices.
But I do not eat pork chops or filet mignon or anything like that. I don't
Chicken.
eat the hamburger or anything. I don't even eat chicken.
Okay.
Just fish.
Just fish. Okay. Fish and
But-
vegetables.
And in the evening, they do provide us soup, different kind of soup. Sometimes they have lentil soup. Sometimes they have chicken vegetable soup.
Okay.
And I just eat my broth, and I don't eat the noodles or chicken in it.
Okay.
But that's my choice.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's nice to have those choices. It's nice. Now, do you have a kitchen in your
Yes,
in
I
your
do
place?
have a kitchen in my place. I have a one-bedroom condo where I live.
Okay.
And they provide us a full kitchen with a refrigerator and a stove and everything.
So you
I
could
never
prepare
use-
your own
I
meal if
can-
you wanted
I
to.
can prepare my meal if I wanted to, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
It's just too much work.
Why would you do that if you've got it prepared for you, right?
That's right, yeah. So I
right.
just do with whatever they provide me. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, tell me about this button that's around your neck here.
It is a life lock button.
Okay.
And let's say that you are walking around and you fell down. You can press the button and they come and help you.
Okay. All right.
So it's a life lock button.
Okay. Now, is that from the place
That's
where
from
you're
the place
living?
where I'm living.
Okay.
Everybody is provided that.
Okay, that's nice.
So everybody has that.
So the care that comes to you is directly from that location, from that facility
From that
right there.
location, yes, that's
Okay.
right, yeah.
That's nice.
And it's a very nice place to live right now, I think.
Yeah. And you said there are about how many residents?
158 people.
Okay. Yeah, so it's a
I'm the
nice,
only Indian there.
You're the only Indian.
I'm the
Yeah.
only Indian there so far.
Yeah.
Who knows, maybe some people may come. You have no idea.
Yeah. Have you met a lot of people there in the facilities?
Yes, I have
Yeah.
met lot of friends, made lot of friends.
Yeah.
Everybody is very friendly with each other. And it's nice to communicate with them and nice to attend all the classes that we are provided.
And then how about, do you get together for special events like Thanksgiving and holidays and
Yeah, they
things
do
like
have that, yes.
Okay.
But they don't provide any kind of drinks.
Okay.
No drinks, just juices and food and cheerfulness.
Yeah.
That's about it.
That's good. Got to have that cheerfulness.
That's true.
That's true.
At my age, I do need that.
Now, what holidays, being from India, what holidays do you celebrate?
Our biggest holiday is Diwali.
Okay.
Diwali is in November.
Okay.
And I can't go to Diwali function anymore because I don't drive anymore.
Okay.
I gave up driving about 2 years ago.
Okay.
Just because I had one accident and I got scared to death. And I said, no more driving, Nima.
And do they provide any transportation for you at the independent living?
We have a bus service that they take us to ShopRite and Walmart every Tuesday.
Okay.
And CVS every Friday.
Okay. Okay.
And sometimes they take people to ball game
Okay.
in New Britain.
Okay.
I mean, I never go to that, but a lot of people do
be a
go
fun
to
event.
that. Yeah, fun
Okay.
event, yeah.
Yeah. Great. Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, how many or what family members do you have close by?
I have a brother who lives in West Hartford.
Okay.
He still works in my office
Oh, good.
as a front desk person. He's not a physician. But his both children are physicians, and I put them through college, 8 years of college each.
Okay.
And my son is a physician too, and I put him through 8 years of college. So 24 years of college. And I support 30 children in India, poor kids in India.
30 children in
30
India.
children in India.
That's pretty
Per
amazing.
child, it costs me $700 a year. And I
Okay.
provide the whole year of education there.
That's
and their
wonderful.
books and everything.
That is making a difference in the lives of others. That is
Well,
wonderful.
I wanted to do something for poor Indian country.
Giving back is
Giving back,
something that we all need to be doing, right?
That's right. We should be doing that more. I don't think we do enough here. But,
Yeah.
I try to do the best I can.
That's wonderful. Well, I think putting a son and 2 nephews through medical school and helping out children in India is doing quite a lot. That is wonderful.
That's my contribution to human being.
Yeah, that's great. So what was it like when you decided to come over here, and what made you decide to come to the United States? What was it like to come over?
Because my father got me married when I was 28 years old.
Okay.
And it was an arranged marriage. I didn't even like the man. And he said, no, you're getting married to him. And in 5 days we were married, because at that time, 1968, it was arranged marriage. And my first marriage was arranged marriage, which did not it lasted only 3 years. And then I was single for 8 years.
Now, were you in India during that whole time?
No.
Okay.
I was in this country, in Hartford, Connecticut.
Okay. When you got married the first time, you were here?
My ex-husband was here.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
He's dead now.
Okay.
He's not even living anymore.
Okay. And so you remarried?
I remarried after 8 years.
Okay.
I found a Irish-American man, and I married him for 30 years, and then he left me for another woman. When I had my back surgery, I was in bed for 9 months, and he just took off.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Well, that happens in life, and you just have to go on with your life.
That is true. So what was the transition like coming from India to here? What was...
It was difficult because, I never wore dress. And when I came here, everybody was wearing short dresses. And that was a total surprise for me.
Yeah.
And I had to buy new dresses and learn to wear a pantyhose, which I never knew how to do that. Learn to shave my legs. I didn't know how to do that.
Is that right? Yeah.
Because in India, nobody does that.
The culture is very different.
Yes.
Yeah. So do you ever go back to India?
I haven't been back in 15 years.
Okay.
Since my mother died, I don't go back. My father was here with my brother. He died in 1992.
Okay.
He was 94 years old.
94. That's a long life. Yeah.
And my brother took care of him because that's Indian culture, that son takes care of the parents, not the daughter.
Oh, that's interesting.
And the parents never lives with daughter.
Okay.
They live with son always. So he always lived with my brother. And my brother takes care of me now.
Yeah. And do you have other relatives? You mentioned you have some relatives on the West Coast?
I have 2 sisters,
okay.
but they are in Los Angeles.
Okay, both of them?
Both of them. I'm the oldest one. My both sisters are younger than me, 4 years younger and 2 years younger than me. And I'm the oldest one, and I took care of everybody in the family.
And now your brother is helping to take care of you.
My brother takes care of me now, yes. He takes care of my finances totally. He pays all my bills. I don't have to worry about anything.
That's nice not to have to worry about that.
No.
Yeah.
I'm lucky to have a brother like that.
Yeah, that is wonderful. What a blessing to have good family, and
That's
especially
right.
somebody that's close by.
Oh, yeah.
That's great.
He comes sees me once a week or once every couple of weeks, yes.
Yeah.
And takes me to his house
Oh, that's
for an
good.
Indian meal.
That's nice.
That's a treat for me, yes.
Yeah, I'm sure you miss that.
I do miss that a lot. But I don't want to prepare it by myself because it's a lot of work, a lot of cleaning.
a lot of work for one
dishes
person.
And pots and pans and all that. I said, no, I would rather go to my brother. And my sister-in-law and my brother are very, very nice to me. And they provide me food. And they give me to take home doggy bag.
That's nice. And then so you can heat it up at your
in
house.
my room, yeah. When I don't feel like having the food there, I just eat my Indian food.
Yeah, that's great. That's wonderful. One of the things that I would love for you to share with us is what kind of advice would you have for some young person, maybe even high school or early college, who's thinking about medical school and specifically thinking about pediatrics, what kind of advice would you have?
I would say that, really medical school is not that hard. If you are willing to work hard, you can be a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
You can go into pediatrics, you can go into OBGYN, you can be internal medicine doctor, you can be anything you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my son is in internal medicine. He specializes in geriatric.
Okay.
He takes care of older people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very proud of him.
Sure.
My nephew, one nephew is a pediatric dentist, and one nephew is an orofacial surgeon. And I put all of them through college.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like everybody is in good place now,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't have to worry about anybody.
That's great. That is wonderful. That's wonderful. Okay, well, is there anything else that you'd like to share with us about either your practice and
well, my
your...
practice is still there,
Mm-hmm.
and patients still come there, and the children are all grown up, and they still ask for me.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah, my brother still tells me, my goodness, that patient was asking, how is Dr. Patel? How is Dr. Patel?
Mm-hmm.
And he says, well, she's retired now and she's in a retirement community.
Mm-hmm.
And, they say, oh, we miss her so much. So that's a nice thing
to hear.
Be proud of.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah, so do you ever go back to the office to visit every now and then? Do you see any of your old patients when you're back visiting?
Yeah. In the waiting room, they're waiting there, they can recognize me. I don't recognize them.
Mm-hmm.
But it's nice to go to my office
Mm-hmm.
and just have the good memory. And the doctor, I sold the practice to Dr. Matthew Warren. He respects me very much.
Mm-hmm.
He said, my goodness, you gave me a best practice I can ever imagine. And he came from New York City.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
And he takes good care of all my patients,
Mm-hmm.
which is wonderful.
Would you recommend the place where you live, the independent living place where you are right now? Would you recommend that to other people from India,
I do recommend, but they're not going to like it because there is no Indian food.
Mm.
That's the only difference.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't eat meat. And they do provide meat almost every
Mm-hmm.
single meal.
So is it the spices that makes the Indian food Indian food? Is it primarily spices or is it?
Mostly different kind of lentils,
Okay.
vegetables, and our flat bread called chapati.
Yes, I love that
That makes
flatbread.
a difference. That makes a lot of difference. And I miss that very much.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
And any Indian person coming to my place in independent retirement living, they will miss that.
Yeah.
And we don't have any facility to make that.
Okay. Yeah.
Unless you make it in your room, and there's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
It is a lot
Yeah.
of work because you have to make the dough, you have to cut the vegetable, you have to cook them, put the spices and everything, and that's really, really hard.
Yeah.
You know, people don't know our spices, like turmeric, cumin powder, coriander powder, garam masala. Nobody knows what it is. And only place you can get it is in Indian store.
In an Indian store. Yeah.
There's-
There are some good Indian restaurants around.
There are restaurants, but you know, restaurant food, I think they use lot of butter and lot of oil, which is not healthy for your heart.
Okay.
And that's why I don't go to the Indian restaurant.
I see. Okay. Well, that's good to know.
Yes.
That's good to know.
They do add lot of butter because it tastes good. Everybody likes butter.
I love butter.
Not me.
It's not good for you.
Lot of cholesterol.
Now, is beer, is what kind of drinks are considered Indian drinks, or are there?
No, there are no alcoholic drinks
Okay.
there.
All right.
Not where I come
Not
from.
where, okay.
Northern part of India, south coast of India, yes, they do have it. But not where I come from.
Do they-
we don't drink anything.
Just juices and water, and
That's it.
do you drink
And
milk?
We drink milk, and we do drink lassi. Lassi is a yogurt drink.
Okay.
And they do put some salt and black pepper in it. It's called lassi. And we drink that with every meal, except breakfast. Breakfast we have hot milk.
Oh, hot
Here
milk.
nobody drinks hot milk.
No.
There we drink hot milk.
Now, are you talking hot as in heated up, or just room temperature?
No,
hot?
heated up.
Okay.
Heated up with almonds and some, what do you call the loving? We call it loving, you know, it's a black seeds in it. I
not
forgot
sure.
the name of it.
Not sure.
I don't know the English name of it.
Well, let me ask you another question.
Yes, dear.
And that is, how would you like to be remembered?
I like to be remembered as a loving and caring person for everybody. Even in my retirement community, I still volunteer there. I do
That's
anything
wonderful.
they need me to do because I'm still independent and I still can walk around and do things.
That's great.
So that's
That
what
is
I like to
wonderful.
be remembered, that I was helpful to everybody.
Well, I will remember you just from our conversation here this afternoon.
Okay, Paula.
I'm excited to have met you, and I know that our audience is going to be blessed by what you've shared with us today.
Thank you,
So
Paula.
thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
very
being here.
much. Okay, dear.
I'm Paula Sorrells-Bean. I want to thank you for watching us today on the Nonprofit World. And I want to encourage you to embrace your passion and help someone today. Make a difference in someone's life. Hello, and welcome to the Nonprofit World, where we highlight individuals and organizations who are passionate about empowering people to make a difference in the lives of others, serving in our communities and around the world. I'm Paula Sorrells-Bean, your host for today's program. And I have with me today, again, Father Tom Furrer, who is the president of Kateri Medical Clinic. So we visited with him before, and he's going to introduce our other guests that we have with us today.
Today I brought with me my friend Elaine Shagnon. Elaine Shagnon's a longtime friend of mine, and she's on the board of directors of African Educational Project, which works with our medical clinics. They build schools, we build clinics. And just in a couple of weeks, we're going to dedicate a brand new hospital, which is right next to a brand new school built by her organization. So we try to work together in Africa to bring healthcare and education to people who don't have so much of it. So I've asked Elaine to come with us today and explain her ministry and how she and her group are making a difference in Nigeria. Elaine.
Welcome,
Thank you.
Elaine.
Thank you very much.
So glad you're here with us today.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here.
So tell us a little bit about this education partnership, what you do, how it got started.
Okay. This is a while back, my first trip to Nigeria, I met a Nigerian bishop who came to study in the United States, and another friend of mine helped him write his dissertation, and through our interactions found that he had this vision for a school in his area of northern Nigeria where children of all faiths and tribes could learn together and grow up, hopefully, in peace. So in 2009, there was a fact-finding mission, and by 2011, the framework had started for a school. And we were able to go to the north in 2011. And I started returning each year to meet with teachers because I am a school teacher. So just meeting with teachers and doing some teacher training. It evolved over the years, and that's basically how we got started. And our ministry is housed at St. Peter's Church in South Windsor, but we are now a separate 501c3 nonprofit.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Wonderful. So the school that is being dedicated now. Is that correct? What ages will that cover? What ages of students?
Originally, our intent was to build a high school, but what happened was the school building, the first school block was completed, and people started showing up and registering students from age 3 to 18. So we quickly filled that first building, built a second one, which is now pretty full, and then we just completed, 2 years ago, we completed an examination hall because our school is now accredited, and senior students can take their West Africa board exams, which are the equivalent of our SATs, and go on to university. So we have ages 3 to 18, all ages, all faiths, and this is in an area of the world where 90% are Muslim and 10% are Christian, but our Muslim population is growing, so we probably have 30 or 40% Muslim students at this point, and 50% girls, which is very exciting.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Maybe you could also talk about the typical pattern for girls in that part of Africa.
This is in the far north of Nigeria, where there is Sharia law, and in that part of the country, on average, 20% of girls receive an education. Some of them are home, some of them are married off young. So our hope is to get young women educated and give them other options. So at this point, we have, like I said, 50% girls in the school, which is, to me, is very exciting. So they're getting an education right alongside the boys.
That's wonderful. Now, how many of the girls end up going off to college after they finish high school?
That's a number we're still not really sure of. We know that of the students that, I think the students that took the exams, they scored well on them. And then they have to find funding to be able to go on. Some of them do get scholarships, but I couldn't give you those numbers because it's sketchy getting details back and forth. So when on my next trip, I'm hoping to figure out, find out how our students did this past spring with their exams.
One of the great challenges for education, particularly education of girls in this part of the world, is there's a bias that, like there used to be in this country, that, well, if you got to choose between who gets a college education, the boys should get the education because the girls are just going to be home having babies and that stuff. So why spend your limited amount of funds on a girl? It just doesn't, there's that cultural bias.
Right.
And so one of the things we were asked, this is at another school about 5 years ago, we had the graduation service. Remember that?
Yes, I do.
And the bishop's wife, there's a different diocese and everything. The bishop's wife asked us to come, both of us, to speak at the graduation. It was an 8th grade graduation service. And she said, I want both of you, from a man's perspective and a woman's perspective, to tell these girls why they need to go on to high school and, if possible, beyond that. And so we both told them, in our own way, in our own language, that please resist the temptation to get married or have babies, because we know that one could happen without the other, right? And, resist that temptation. It's a strong cultural bias that women get married young and have babies young. And I said, we both said, that's going to change your whole life. If you have babies now, your whole life is going to change very differently than if you have an education first before you get married and have babies. So it's a great cultural bias against girls being educated, and the church there is really trying to work against that, or trying to challenge girls or encourage girls to stay in education longer, get their education, then get married, then have babies. That's so it's this school in an area where only, 20% of the girls, typically 20% of the girls get any education at all. The other 80% get married off when they're 14 or 15 years old.
Wow, that young.
This school is counter narrative to the predominant cultural expectation for girls. So I think it's a great story to tell about women's empowerment and women's education.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're offering some sustainability, not only for in the medical, to have full-time medical clinics there, but also just to educate, to provide that education for women, for boys and girls, men and women. That's great.
It's interesting too, because our hope now, the hospital and the school share a safety wall, so the students can go from the school right through the gate to the hospital, and what we're hoping for is for them to get hands-on experience with lab procedures and medical procedures, and seeing patients, and any students, especially girls who are interested in the medical fields, have some hands-on practice right there.
Wow.
So we're very excited to see where it all is, and how it's progressing. We were also able to send over money. We found a provider to put up solar panels. We've given them a computer lab, and we also, thanks to generosity of a Rotary Club grant, partially funded us for a well. So they're now having a well dug, which should be pretty much done, that will provide water for both the school and the clinic or the hospital.
That's great.
So
One of the things I hope, this is not in anybody's official charter yet, but one of the things I hope is that 5 years from now we'll have, here's the school, and the school, by the way, is filled. You go to these classes and you ask these kids, what do you want to be? I want to be a doctor. I want to be a nurse. I want to be a lab technician. I want to be a
pharmacist.
I want to be a physical therapist, whatever. These kids, boys and girls, all want to do this. My hope is that here's the hospital and here's the school, and right smack in the middle we're going to have a nursing school. That's what I hope, that all these kids who want to be nurses, or maybe nurses and community health extension workers or something, that they can go straight from there to the nursing school and do their practicum in the hospital right next
there.
door. That's what I hope. We'll see.
That sounds
We'll
like
see.
a great vision.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. How many students are currently in the school enrolled?
Last year we had about 275. This year I don't know, because school starts later for them. The
So it's
rainy
right about now,
season,
doesn't it?
there's a rainy season that ends the beginning of October, so a lot of students are home working fields, because that area of the country is primarily subsistence farmers. There's a lot of subsistence farming, so students are working the family farms, so they are just about now returning. So when we go, we'll find out how many are there. The last report was that population of students was up, because the school now that they have a computer lab, they're kind of gaining a reputation of being a good school, a tough school. And when I go back, a lot of the same teachers are still there. So that to me is a great encouragement that they're committed to the progress of the school.
Right.
So
Now, are they all Nigerian teachers?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so they're trained there locally, in universities locally, and then
That's the dicey part. In Nigeria, well, what I've found is that, generally speaking, high school teachers have a college degree. Elementary teachers may not.
okay.
And I've been working hard to break down the barriers that elementary teachers are less worthy than high school teachers. We had a big discussion last summer regarding the fact that elementary teachers set the foundational skills for these students. And when you're getting students, they've done all that work of, teaching them how to read and write, and
Preparing them.
Preparing them, exactly. So we broke down a few barriers and actually did some activities where they got to work together, and they really liked that. So I'm encouraged. I'm not there enough. A couple of days, workshops in the summer is, hopefully has a little bit of effect. I don't know if it has a lasting impact, but you do what you can while you're there, and they ask questions, and I've seen progress, and they seem energized, and it's just really exciting.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Wonderful. How many months out of the year are they in school? They start later, but do they go later, or how is it still like a 9-month kind of thing, or?
They finish up at the end of July. They
Okay.
take their exams. So their school year's just shifted. So
Okay.
primarily August and most of September are off, and they go October through July.
Okay.
They have a long Christmas break too, long December break. I think almost the whole month of December. I think.
Yeah.
It's quite.
Okay.
Yeah.
And depending on conditions at home, you don't know if students are going to return from one year to the next. The parents are responsible for paying tuition, plus students' uniforms and books. So one of the things we've done is set up a library for them with some resources for students that can't afford books, and we've gotten some grant money to provide them with a foundational fund for textbooks. Those come out every couple of years. They're required to buy new textbooks by the state to follow their curriculum.
So even in the even in the younger grades, they have to pay. There's a tuition.
Yes.
For all schools.
Yes.
Is that true in all schools in Nigeria, or?
Yes.
Okay.
The tuition varies. This is considered a private school. There are government schools.
Okay.
From what I understand, they are far less. They have, I don't know. It's less quality education
Okay.
given, and private schools, the tuition is generally higher. And generally speaking, secondary education costs more than primary. The tuition goes up as they go through the grades. So some parents can't afford, to keep sending their kids.
Sure.
I'll give you an example of the contrast between public schools and private schools. Now, when we're talking about private schools, we're not talking about people playing polo or something.
Right.
Or on the
not like-
crew team. Or
Yeah.
right. We're talking about just basic, decent education. So a friend of ours who's a bishop in another diocese, we've just, another organization I work with has just provided scholarships for 40 children to go into their primary school there. This just happened. They're just now going in. And the bishop told me that they've taken some of the older kids from government schools to come to their school in, let's say, the 3rd or 4th grade. They have to put them back in 1st grade in their school to get the basic reading, writing, and speaking skills to be able to be with the rest of the students in 4th grade.
Okay.
You see, so they hope that won't take a whole 4 years to get them up to speed, but they need to do remedial stuff because the quality of education is so much different in the private schools than they are in the government schools. So a lot of the government schools, half the time the teachers don't show up for class. They get their paycheck, but they don't come to class. So it's very discouraging. So,
Are there many private schools in Nigeria?
There are. They're scattered, and most of them are run by church dioceses. Those are the ones that will sponsor education. And generally, if you go to that church, you go to that school. But not always. We're kind of breaking some molds here. And the big challenge was getting our name known, because when you're in a neighborhood where 90% are Muslim and 10% are Christian, you're going to draw the Christian population. We're trying to draw in the Muslim population as well, because we want these children to grow up together. And we are now at the point where we have a reputation as a tough school, and more neighborhood children are coming to be enrolled.
Now, what do you mean by tough school?
That it has a rigorous curriculum, and that their students do well on the exams. So we're very excited. The examination hall is going to be dedicated, and our work at this school in terms of building will pretty much be finished. We will always support them and provide them with maintenance and things like that.
until we build the nursing school.
Until well, our next project, we'll be doing some fact-finding, and with another bishop in a different part of Nigeria. He's asking now for an exam hall, the same bishop you visited. So our next trip, we will spend some time with him, and our organization is going to make a decision as to, if we can get answers to the questions, to start supporting another project, which is also near another clinic. So I think the tag teaming of health education and basic education is just a really great pairing because you're feeding people on different levels. You're giving them basic health care to make them well, but you're also introducing them to a quality education, which may give them some different options.
Yeah. How far away do people come to the school? I mean, from how far away?
Gusau is a capital city, so they come from throughout the capital city.
Okay.
Many of them are within probably a 10 to 15 mile range, I would guess.
But it's not a boarding school.
Right.
A lot of the church schools in Nigeria are boarding schools.
Okay.
And again, the boarding is very basic. It's not like fancy boarding school. It's
Right.
in this country, boarding school means the very elite of education. It's not that at all. It's just very basic accommodations, but they stay there, which means that their parents can live far away and they can come and stay there and they don't have to be driving them back and forth every day,
Yeah.
But this is not a boarding school.
Okay.
So.
Right.
Do you anticipate that it ever will be, or?
We had discussions about that at one point, but I think right now we have all the students we could probably handle that come locally. They do run 2 buses, and by buses I mean 15-passenger vans are called buses. So they do run, and they'll pack 25 or 30 kids into a 15-passenger van.
Amazing, isn't it?
With a couple goats for extra measure.
So they do make runs, but a lot of parents will drop their students off and pick them up. So
Now, would you say that a lot of the students are from more affluent families because there is a fee?
There is, it tends to be more middle class,
Okay.
your middle class students. One thing we had talked about, and we'll, again, as we're wrapping up the construction, we'll look at the possibility of offering scholarships to worthy students from maybe lower socioeconomic levels that can't afford a good education. So that was another thing that we had talked about was sponsoring students.
Yeah. How do you think how would you reach out to those people, the lower?
The churches, do it.
Through the churches.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
They know who can't afford things.
Right.
And the churches. So, for instance, in this other diocese where we're going also this time, the little church I serve in a town nearby, we just did a scholarship drive to raise scholarships for 40 students. Get this, private school. For $50 a year, not a semester, a year, you can put a kid through primary school with the uniforms and the books and lunch for $50 a year. So this church I'm helping out with raised $2,000, so that helps us to put 40 students through school for a whole year.
That
They
is
couldn't afford
wonderful.
it.
Yeah.
Lots of them are orphans.
Wonderful.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
So that gives you an idea. So the bishop there knows who all the poor people are in the churches and everything, and not just the churches. He's trying to make 10% of the Muslims because he wants to build good relations with the Muslim community. So the churches know who are the poor people, who cannot afford to send their kids to school.
Right.
They know.
That's so important for the Muslim and the Christian and whatever other religions are there to mix together,
Right.
and to see that they can, as children, to see that they can get along.
That's the key.
and grow up together and love one another and be
And
like,
respect.
and respect one another.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Incredible. That is wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful work that you're doing there.
When we go to the school, they'll have, because we're big celebrities when we go there, so they get all the kids out in the, all 275 kids. We're out in the school grounds and having a school assembly today, and the bishop will come, and this is the people from America, yeah, people from America, and all that stuff. And then they'll have prayers before we start. And they always have one Christian student lead the prayer, and then one Muslim student lead the prayer. They try to do that to have parity all the time, so it's not, this is a Christian school and we're allowing you in here, but you better watch yourself. No, they try to honor both both faiths, and again to build this mutual respect from childhood, so that because there's all kinds of troubles with animosities between people, and that often results in riots and churches being burned down and mosques being burned down in retaliation and all that kind of stuff. So,
are there other religions, or it's just the two primarily?
It's
or other faiths, I
primarily-
should say. Yeah.
I believe, from what I understand, it's 50% the country, 50% Muslim, 40% Christian, and 10% animist. So in the rural villages, you may get more animist type religions. It's there,
Yeah.
but the school is in the capital city of Zamfara state, so it's primarily Muslim population in that area of the country.
Okay.
So, but I'm just excited to go back, and the thought of a new project excites me. I want to, we will always stay connected with this school with scholarships and maintenance and that kind of thing, but in terms of new building, to start a new project is just, I can't wait.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So as far as our viewers are concerned, how can they help? Or is there anything that they can do to help, either from donations, or do you receive any kinds of books? Do you take everything, or is it kind of like with the medical, where you get most of your donations of items like books and that kind of thing there in Africa or Nigeria?
At this point, I have taken in as much raw material as my garage can hold. And I have a way to ship, but it's laborious, it's time consuming, and it's not always timely. So at this point, people keep asking me, can I give you more books? I said, please, if you come see my garage, my husband will kill me if I take in one more book.
I can understand that.
But we've had churches do, or groups do, little fundraisers, $1 a book, and then the money will go toward textbooks. Or we always need, donations are probably the easiest. I know it sounds cliche because everybody asks for money, but that's the easiest. And then we can give sort of a wish list, like we need 12 shelving units for teachers, and each unit costs $100. Or we need a computer for $150. Or, we can have a wish list, and people can request, or they can just send in monetary donations.
Is there a website that you would like to give to our audience?
Sure.
To know, so that they can go on and find out either more about the organization or how to donate. Can they donate directly to
Yes.
the website? Okay.
Yes.
So if you want to share that with our audience. then-
Okay, it's www.africaep.org. africaep.org.
Okay.
And we have a PayPal account that works, and we also have all of our newsletters are up there. We have all of our blogs. We have photographs. It's a good interactive website.
Wonderful.
Yes.
That's great. Well, Elaine, thank you so much for joining us today. And Father Tom, it's always great to see you and have you with us. So glad. I wish you both the very best on this next trip to Nigeria.
Yes.
And with all of your future endeavors with the programs that you're doing there.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Greatly
Thank you very
appreciate
much.
it.
Thanks.
Okay.
And I'm Paula Sorrells-Bean for the Nonprofit World, encouraging you to embrace your passion and make a difference in someone's life today.